have decided to start the master cleanse. Some people call it the lemonade diet. And I have decided to start this for numerous reasons. The last time I did this, I did it for 3 days, and it was right after. Well, I wouldn't say right after, but it was during the time that I was ill. I had was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and it caused me a lot of problems all throughout my 20s. I was in constant pain. I should say the latter half of my 20s. The first half was, I probably had the condition, but it wasn't that bad. Um, but after my daughter was born and 2 years into that, I was always in and out of the hospital. I go to the doctor, gastroenterologist. He would prescribe medications for me, different medications. A lot that was prednisone, the wonder drug of the 20th and 21st century. Probably many of you are familiar with prednisone if you have asthma, children with asthma, if you have psoriasis, all kinds of conditions. They will prescribe prednisone for, and prednisone in low doses or short spurts for certain things that children pop up with. The doctor tried to do that with me. Like put me on like a 7-day course of prednisone, and it would work, but it would be less and less effective over time. So he might have to put me on longer doses, and the side effects were just I couldn't stand that stuff. Um, I would just blow up. I mean that figuratively and literally. I mean, it makes you retain water and it makes you voraciously hungry, or it made me voraciously hungry. So the combination of retaining water, if you've seen people who are on prednisone for long periods of time, they get what's called a moon face. I know I have a round face, but I'm talking about unnaturally round and pudgy, and they retain water all over the place. And I was retaining water in my ankles, and I'd never had that problem before, even when I was pregnant. And then I just eating and eating and eating. And on the one hand, I hadn't been eating because with the Crohn's disease, it hurt to eat. I was in so much pain in my stomach that, people have to eat to live, but I just have to weigh like, okay, is the pain worth it? And then, when I did get things down, it would come back up. And so on the one hand, okay, good, she's eating, but just like completely too much. And it would make me very short-tempered. I was already probably short-tempered due to the illness and the pain and not eating and all of this type of thing. And yeah, it was just. I really did not. I disliked that medication, despite the fact that it would give me like a little sojourn between the pain, because it's considered like some kind of. It's not really an anti-inflammatory, but it does something. What happens is, for the Crohn's disease, is that your different parts of your intestine and your bowel will become inflamed. So sometimes you'll have a complete blockage where nothing can pass through. So the steroids, the prednisone, which is a steroid, would help to relieve that. So you get like a temporary relief from that. And that's what they would actually give me in the hospital. I was in and out of the hospital. I would have to go to the hospital in the emergency room from the ambulance. I'd be in so much pain, I'd have to call the ambulance, and I'd just be begging for painkillers. And so once they, accessed that whatever, I had this problem, they would give me the painkillers. And then when they would admit me to the ward, they'd give me, I couldn't eat anything, by mouth. They called me nothing by mouth. And what they would do is what they do in the emergency room. And thank goodness I had the painkillers. But even so, even with the painkillers, it was still very uncomfortable. You take a tube and stick it through your nose, down your throat, into your stomach, and they'd be pumping everything out. Because what would happen was, when I go to the hospital, I would be completely blocked. So I have all this fluid and stuff, like in my intestines. You see like this distension. Probably I was pretty skinny. I used to be very skinny, thin from not eating, but with this big bloated belly because the stuff was not passing through. So they pump everything out with this thing through your nose. You have to, it's not anything you can do while you're asleep. You have to put this thing through your nose, take a deep breath, relax, and stay. The nurse sticks it in there down to your stomach, and then there's a machine that pumps all the water and fluid out. And so the only thing that you're getting is through the intravenous, through the IV, getting your fluids and can't eat anything. And they'd watch you and see what they're doing. And what they would give you, besides the painkillers, is they would give you prednisone. They give you some different types of steroids. I think they gave me a cortisone shot once. And then I really did not like the hospital. I had I don't want to say like I had just these horrible experiences with doctors and nurses. They're all doing their job. It's just something about being in a gastrointestinal unit or something. And besides the fact that you can't eat anything, and it's just very uncomfortable. So I'd be trying to get out, so they say, "Oh, you better now with the," I say, "Yes, yes, if you could," and then I think the final test would be if you could eat something and not throw it back up. So when I could do that, they would release me home with a bottle of prednisone for me to take orally. So I'd be okay for a while. Most of the time, they did not give me a diet to follow, which you think would probably be the logical step for somebody who's having all these, intestinal difficulties. They did not give me a diet to follow. Sometimes, I don't want to say they gave me just right out of the hospital. If you haven't eaten for days, start with soft foods and bland foods and broth. That's what they would give me in the hospital to see if I could hold something down, like broth and Jello, things of that nature. So they say, yeah, follow that for a few days and then eat what you like. And so, I tried a lot of things. I didn't just go and eat what I liked. I really tried natural cures. My nervous system, I'm talking about as in my mental state was always very anxious due to this. So, I was always trying something. I didn't want to always be sick. I had a little girl, Mary did not always want to be sick and in and out of the hospital and having these problems. Poor Miriam had to witness me sick so many times. It's my daughter's name. And so I tried different things. Remember I tried acupuncture, which I didn't stick with. So this is not a long video against acupuncture. I remember I took like one or two sessions with acupuncture, and the times that I did it seemed like if I would stick with it, it'd be wonderful. I could feel the energy moving from where the practitioner stuck the needles. You could just feel it, and that was kind of like my main problem. Things were not moving inside of me properly. So that they call it the qi. With acupuncture and in traditional Chinese medicine, they call it the qi moving around and all this stuff. I could feel it, And so just it probably was a matter of just being able to locate someone that I could use and afford and sticking with it, and it definitely I'm sure would have been more beneficial. I definitely did things with my diet. My mother helped me. So that's back to the lemonade diet. That was one of the things I tried right before I got very sick for like the last time, God willing, and that was the last time I was admitted to the hospital, and I was really, really trying. I had eliminated a lot of things from my life that were causing me stress. Because even when I go to my regular Western doctor, gastroenterologist, in addition to taking your blood and looking at your physical chart, he would ask me, what's going on in your life and the stress. When I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, I don't know what's changed so much over the years. They were saying they really weren't sure what caused it, but probably had a lot to do with